paid. That's why I work every day. I'll be making money till I'm in my grave. Don't care what they say, I'll buy time with my money. Laughing to the bank cause it's funny. The money keep coming, I manifest it. Sing these lyrics and you'll get it. I'm the bank, come invest it. I get tracked and I have it. Money finds me attractive. I'm the type to make commas turn a profit. I'm the boss, Willy Wonka, but it ain't chocolate, yeah.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Marko Yamashita Show. I am your host, Marko Yamashita, the only VTuber on YouTube that will give you fair, honest information and a impartial report of all the news that comes out. Today we are talking about Mikeneko. Many things have happened with her over the past week, and we talked a little bit about it before, but we are also going to catch up with where things are currently at. If you follow me on social media, or if you subscribe here, I frequently update my community tab so people can come in and see the current things I'm talking about. I usually talk about the most interesting things or the most relevant things to the VTuber industry, and one of those topics is definitely Mikeneko. So, with that in mind, I would like to go ahead and move forward a little bit on what has been happening. CJC, welcome to the chat. Welcome. Thank you for dropping in. So, let's just kind of backtrack just a little bit. So everyone can be brought up to date that come in and watch the video either live or on the VOD. First of all, I want to go to the post that you see on the screen from 10 p.m. on April 29th. And this statement here, as you can see from the translation that I put with her statement here below, that it was a cancellation notice, and the artist's debut and CD release of Kyoto Ria for spring 2024 has been canceled due to production reasons. Please note the cancellation does not include reports in some weekly magazines or any disputes in the artist's personal lives. And of course, they do the traditional please abstain from slander or spreading speculation. Oh, excuse me. And then of course, and then that, they apologize for the inconvenience. All right. Now, I do want to state, and before we go on a little bit further, there was several articles that came out about and I don't have them up on my tabs right now, but that there were several reports, including from her herself, in a now deleted Twitcasting broadcast that she did several days ago, that she was the victim of several bomb threats that were sent her way. They were bomb threats specifically emailed to her. She did not elaborate on what the actual contents were. She did show one screenshot, but it only included about 1 to 2 sentences, so you really couldn't discern anything beyond that. She did state that those threats were not a factor in this situation. However, she did also state in her broadcast here today that the deal with PONYCANYON is effectively gone. It's no longer anything that will be in the works, and they would not be distributing anything that she releases. Now, I'm working from a transcribed, a transcription of the. Excuse me, I'm still working on getting my throat back. I'm working off of a transcription of tonight's broadcast here, and there is quite a bit of detail in here on the various things that are going on and what things that she wanted to talk about, and things that she had not been able to address until now. So I am going to walk through these things step by step, and we will, that way, if you have any questions or concerns or comments, you can definitely, go ahead and voice those. CJC, it's awful that it's already considered a crime. That's awful. It can already be considered a crime. She can actually call the police for protection. She did. She did report the bomb threat to the authorities, the police and authorities. She surrendered over all the relevant data from those emails to the authorities so they could look into it. In a lot of cases, these things don't have an outcome where justice is served, and she realizes that with all the other things that have been going on. So, but that is something that she did do today, or not today, but after the incident happened. So, and of course, it doesn't only affect her; it affects all the people that work behind the scenes to make a production like that possible. So it goes beyond just damaging and hurting her. It hurts the other people that are no longer able to work on that project because it had to be canceled. Now again, she did clarify that that the bomb threat incidents against her was not a factor. Neither was the situation between her and Mafu or anything that is in her personal life. Those things were not a factor in this decision. However, she did not go into any more detail on what PONYCANYON actually said to her and what happened between her and the publisher. But in a bit of positive news, and we'll get to this in chronological order. She has started on a new project that she's extremely proud of, and something that she hopes she'll be able to pull together by the end of the year. It'll be a project that she'll be working on for the rest of this year, so hopefully it can be brought to fruition. And some news outlets are effectively calling it a relaunch, which is good. In a way, it's good. But let's go ahead and get to some of the highlights within her stream that she did today. We talked about the situation in PONYCANYON, and that was one of the first things that she did address, because there were a lot of questions regarding what exactly was going on and why it was canceled. There have been a lot of people that have been asking her specifically why is it that she is doing or was doing that album release with a different name as opposed to Mikeneko. And she addresses the questions that came out by saying that the stage name of Koyoto Ria is much easier for people to say and identify with. It comes off better when doing a announcement or advertising of the album or what she was doing. and she wanted to keep the Mikeneko identity separate from what she was doing. That way, people would connect what she was doing stage-wise, as opposed to her personal name and using that as, the publishing brand for the album that was canceled. She also realizes that the name Mikeneko does carry the baggage and all the controversy that has happened over the past several years, and she did not want to tie a project that she was proud of working on with an identity or persona that carries on that baggage, and she wanted to keep it separate, so when she's streaming on Mikeneko, people will realize, hey, she's doing something separate than what she was originally working on. Yeah, Mikeneko is her VTuber identity, and her stage name would be the equivalent of like what people here or in America or in the States would use, like Will Smith or Angelina Jolie. Those aren't their actual real names; those are stage names that people identify them with. And in their personal life, they have a different name. Let's see here. So Mikeneko did confirm the news from yesterday and the announcement that is on the screen here, that the CD and her debut with PONYCANYON will not be released, and there is no they are not looking to reschedule it. The deal is effectively dead and won't be renewed, according to how she worded it. She asserted that it had nothing to do with her private life, and we talked about that a little bit. Mikeneko did move on to talking about how frustrating things are with her current life due to her past continuing to come back and haunt her, and then pile upon that the consistent harassment that she receives online, and even in person to some extent, especially with dealing with specific people in person. And she really does feel more or less trapped in what she's where she's at right now versus what she wants to accomplish for people to enjoy. And she also she went into about like a 20-minute it wasn't a speech, but she went into about a 20-minute dialogue of going back to when she made the attempt on her life, and and people were saying don't go there again, please remember that we're here to support you. And she went into talking about that, and she reinforced the promise she made with her audience that she would never try that again. I guess a lot of people were wanting to be reassured of that, because they felt like this was a big thing that happened against her, and that she they were afraid that her mind might have wandered back into that kind of doom and gloom. Yeah, she needs to move on to accomplish her dreams, but it's too bad that her haters and jealous fans, the jealous fans of Mufasa, just want to, and she talked. That was part of what she talked about here for probably about the first 20-30 minutes of her broadcast. To go on to that, she admitted that 2024 hasn't been a good year for her with everything that's been going on. you know, the cancellation of this project that she felt was that was a big deal for her. There was the collaboration with I think it was like a maid cafe or business like that. That had been canceled on her. So many things that she was preparing for and trying to get ready for, had been pulled out from under her, and she was. She made a mention of the the situation that Mafu had put her in, and the fact that just kind of restoked all the fires that brought back the antis and the haters and everything else, and of course there some of those that have never left, and they follow her around like a shadow. But she asked the question in so many different in not so many different words, and this is kind of like a rough translation. She posed the question, if your life is hard, do you decide to go out in public so you can be attacked and bullied? And that's a good question for her to ask, because in spite of everything that's been happening in her personal life, everything that's happened behind the scenes, and how her life had effectively fallen apart over the last 3 to 4 years, she's still putting herself out in public because she's trying to do what she wants to do, and what she enjoys doing, which is entertaining people that come and watch and talk to her. And and she it's a good question to ask. If you are being bullied and harassed, do you put yourself out there for people just to say, oh yeah, let's go trash her? It definitely begs the question. I mean, what are you doing in your life, besides coming and harassing me? So that's it was a very justified question that she asked the audience. And where'd my tab go? There it is. Okay. She further stated, I think it's wrong, and this is a direct quote, by the way, I think it's wrong for anyone, absolutely anyone, to control someone's life and the way people do other people do things. It's not right to make their life difficult. And that's a very accurate assessment of what has been going on with her and Mafu and the antis and the haters, effectively dictating what she can and can't do, because they're mad or they don't have anything better to do with their lives. The Cold 2T, thank you for dropping in. Welcome. We are only about 10 minutes into recapping what her Mikeneko's stream here and what she had been talking about, and you haven't missed too much other than probably some of the stuff that you already know about PONYCANYON, the cancellation of the project and release of PONYCANYON. She addressed why people were asking her why does she have a separate name in addition to her persona as Mikeneko. And she basically said, I want to have a stage name for what I was doing with them, and then have my identity still attached to me. That way she's not sharing out her brand or intellectual property to somebody else, and only to have it pulled back. So let's see here. She went on to state that she knows better than anyone how hard it is to be subjected to what somebody is going through, and having baggage that comes along with being a fan of hers. She acknowledges that she does not want to make life hard for people who want to support her and people who enjoy her content. And and she's doing her best to combat what has been done against her and to her, because those things also affect her fans, and she doesn't want people to feel that the hate or the vitriol and all the toxicity that people are trying to cause within her communities. And she said likewise, she hopes everyone that supports and follows her, if you're dealing with your own problems and feel like she does right now, don't give up. She went on to state, we tell her not to give up and not to give in, to all the pressure and hate and cancel culture that is being thrown against her. And she hopes that we also take to heart that same thing if we're going through a hard time, or dealing with bullies, or dealing with people that make our life difficult, that we do the same. She actually did a pretty lengthy monologue about how she hopes that what she has learned after her recent attempt on her life was that she realized that the world doesn't disappear if you try to end it, or commit the act. Especially, the aftermath of it, it makes life even more difficult, because people are constantly worrying that you might try it again. And she realizes, trying to do something like that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be going into a better life afterwards, especially if you survived the act that you you try to commit. And it makes it even more difficult because the bullies and antis feel more empowered because they know that they affected you, and she does not want that for people who are dealing with difficulties in their life. And more than anything, she gave an honest opinion that she detests people who think that they can control another person's life through the act of bullying and hate and jealousy and everything else. And she wants those people to hopefully go on and do other things so everyone can live a peaceful life and enjoy what she is trying to do content wise. And she made some not so pointed, but they were thinly veiled insinuations that that she is dealing with somebody who is bullying her right now. And she said that, I try to communicate with him, I try to talk things out with him, but he absolutely refuses to establish any type of dialogue with her. And there's only one person that I can think of that has been like that over the past 6 months now. At least 3 to 4 months. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, she went on to apologize that she didn't mean to go into talking about such a dark subject, and a lot of people were just panicking that she was gonna quit and go away, or disappear again, or go on hiatus again. But the good thing was, and the news started leaking out about 5-6 hours ago on the Japanese websites, that she is announcing the Mikeneko song project. And I want to talk a little bit about that because I find it kind of intriguing. Some places are announcing that this is kind of like a relaunch of what she was trying to do, and she said it's not necessarily a relaunch or a carryover of the content she was attempting to distribute, but we'll go into a little bit more on that subject. Even if she tries to forget, move on, and redeem herself, haters will just want to see her burn. Yeah, exactly. And basically, if you empower them, they do things to try to entice you to react. They're looking for a reaction, right? And you give them any kind of reaction, they're just going to feed off of it. So the best thing to do is not to react to what they're doing. And a point that I skipped over, she even mentioned that she does not want people to believe and think that she is actively going after other people, especially if they're other content creators or they're people who do exposés on her. There are several people who have done some very slanderous exposés against her, and she is not she's not going after them like in a legal sense. She has appealed to places and streaming platforms like YouTube, to do takedowns on them, especially if they break Japanese law, like we have talked about in detail on my channel. But that's just something that she realizes it is going to be out there. So I mean, even I realize that's going to be out there, and that's why I've just really started to ignore anybody who throws shade my way. And apparently at some level, somebody does feel like I'm being threatening to them because of people who have tried to do things against me. I've had some people try to take over my account on YouTube and on Google. So I see the intrusion warnings. I get notified in 5 different places if someone tries to access my account. So, I don't know what you're hoping to accomplish. But, so anyways, this is the song project that she was alluding to and referring to. There is not much on this channel or this web page right now, other than her banner and, as you can see, there is not a firm date based upon the current clock on this webpage of when the project will debut or be completed on. She does have a Mikeneko underscore song project for announcements on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And multiple different news outlets have done more or less what I'm kind of doing right now, and they're trying to address what she was talking about today versus what has been in the mainstream amount of news on her on her situation here over the past several months. So we can dive into this just a little bit. Some of them are using April 30th, and other places are using the 29th. It kind of depends on since this dropped at 10 p.m. on the 29th for me, it would have been the 30th over in Japan. and most of these news articles read almost word for word about the same. So I believe that this was more or less a press release that was sent out to places for them to use for their news articles. So, and we talked about, everything with Pony Canyon. And as a lot, some of you know, she had been doing voice acting for a TV anime, that was on Tokyo MX and other stations. And she started doing that, January of last year. Let's see here. Yeah, so and I apologize. I haven't read all the articles that I pulled up, but they more or less all read the same here. I'm just trying to see if there's anything different in this. Most of what are in these articles we have already talked about. But she's extremely nervous about trying to do something like this because she's taken on this thing, this whole entirety of this project by herself. She's not having a company or agency or anything else doing. She's directly hands-on with the planning of this project, according to what she was saying, and that makes her extremely nervous because when you're trying to do something on this scale, it's something extremely new, when you are more than just the performer, so she's extremely nervous about working on something on this scale, but she's also excited about because this is a dream that she really has been looking forward to, and it's it's a dream that keeps getting taken away from her. And so this is something that she definitely wants to accomplish at some point, is doing a live project like this, or just doing a project of this magnitude and having her own label release, or her own set, music that is being put out in public. So let's see here. She stated that she's taking this extremely seriously because she wants to be able to debut as a performer to like what you said, CJC, a shot at redemption and coming back out and into the audience and having people cheer her on and have that sense of accomplishment, because right now she basically feels like she's in limbo, and people are constantly walking in and walking all over her dreams. So she did mention that she's scared, that she wonders if she will be strong enough to get through this, but it's something that she really wants to keep doing. And she realizes that if she ends her own life, she's never going to see that dream come true, and she's not going to be able to she's not going to be able to do it after if she actually goes through with the act. So I'm trying to be very careful because I don't want YouTube to age restrict my video. they did age restrict a few of my other videos that actually, had more talk and conversation about this thing, and also visual, act, the visually pictures of it. I mean, it was part of a video game, and they age restricted it. But she said that, she realizes some people are happy because they know she's going to keep working on a project like this. Other people are happy because they believe that they accomplished something by Pony Canyon pulling out. And she says, if you're happy about, either one of those things, that's fine. She can't control what how you think. But, she wants to let people know that even though that they try to, they've been working really hard to try to ruin her life, she's going to keep going, and they're not they're not going to stop her. She's going to move on to bigger and better things, and, she's not going to let them win. Actually, if she manages to prevail all this in the future and manage a successful story, it'll be her story will be sensationalized, and those haters might actually 180 on her. And that's something that, that's very true. I think that's what she's trying to accomplish, is that, people are trying to steer the narrative of her situation, and she from everything I've read, I've heard, and I've seen, everything that she's saying right now is true and accurate to the best of my ability to confirm it. And I know that a lot of people will point to things that happened a few years ago and say, well, Marko, you said 2 years ago that that there was not a relationship between her and Mafu, but there was, but yet you were wrong on that. And I acknowledge that at the time I did not have anything more than speculation that people were saying that there was some kind of relationship between the two of them. But, there was also the fact that, both of them went out there and denied it, and he even went on Corey's show and denied it on Corey's show. So, we can only, confirm or deny, what, the best information is out there, and present that, and there's a lot of people who try to read the tea leaves of things like that, and more often than not, you're going to look foolish if you try. That's why, I try not to go beyond the plain facts that are out there that I can confirm. And, right now, you still have, the entirety of things that are playing out in court for her and Mafu, and there has not been any kind of settlement or any kind of movement on that. And unfortunately, and I looked this up, I did some research on it. Unfortunately, unless one or both parties actually release information on that kind of court proceeding, more often than not, it stays privatized unless that information is directly requested and then put out in public. And given, and you only need one party, by the way, which I find is very, but you only need one party to actually release that kind of information on the internet. So, say like a court proceeding, they do a an entire trial, and let's say Mafu wins the trial. You don't need Mikeniko's okay to put that kind of information on the internet. He could literally take the entirety of the ruling and upload it on the internet and release it, and she can't do anything about it, and he's not going to get sued for it because he's giving his own okay that information can be released because his name is on it. So it's very hard to confirm information like that when you are talking about the fact that there are so many layers of privacy that are in Japanese culture and built into Japanese the justice system there. So you can't necessarily just kind of go to the justice archives and search for specific court cases unless they are made public by the parties. And I find that extremely frustrating, because if you're trying to find out what's going on with a specific crime that has happened, unless you know exactly what you're looking for, it's very hard to find, and someone literally has to tell you how and where you'll look for that information so you can find it. So but I think that if she is able, like you said, if she's able to maintain control of the projects that she's working on moving forward, and she minimizes the amount of control other parties have and that are involved with what she's trying to work on, I think it's going to work out a lot better for her. Because if you have companies like PONYCANYON or Tokyo Broadcasting or places like that, that they have a say in anything that is being produced, because they're the distributor, and to some extent they're probably even helping you advertise your product or your production. So when you have a project like this, and then you have a person that has a lot of controversy that is surrounding them, and it's not to say that Mikeneko is a bad person, because I don't know her personally. I don't know what she's like the other 23 hours a day that when I'm not talking about her. They can say, okay, we don't want our name involved in any of this more than it already has been, and we're pulling out. I mean, they can literally pull out and say, we're done. We're not doing this. Because I mean, if you look at what is happening right now with all the different articles that are out there, you have PONYCANYON in every single article that is currently talking about this, and they don't want their name, they don't want their name associated with controversy, involving other people or other art. It's not to say that PONYCANYON or Mikeneko or anybody that's associated with these things. That's not to say that they that's not to say that they're necessarily bad people, or that they're completely justified in doing this. However, in a business decision, if your name is being put out there along with controversy, hidden marriage, legal actions, civil disputes, they don't want that kind of negative coverage. So they're likely to say, and this is exactly like why CoverCore automatically terminated her once this came about, because they realized that they were going to go public with their company in, I think it was like 10 months, and they did not want controversy following them when their company went public, because that would negatively affect the company's stock value when people were able to buy their shares. So they released her. I didn't think it was justified. I thought that it was a very knee-jerking reaction, but that's kind of what it is. So I believe that if she is able to maintain the kind of direction and control of what she wants to work on, and assuming that she sees it through to the end, I think she'll be able to produce something, creative enough that it will be considered a success. Is that why they got rid of Coco? Well, with Coco, with Coco, there were a couple things, because you have to remember that there were things that Coco wanted to be able to do that she realized she was not going to be able to do under the Cover Core banner. She had mentioned several times after her graduation that she realized that there were things that she could not accomplish or do, or and there was a lot of direction involved with her her production, that she had to dance around a lot of restrictions and still try to figure out how to make it work. There were several things that she realized that the company was going to ask her to do, or not so much force her to do, but say, hey, look, we're taking the company in this direction. We want our VTubers to do blank. You guys can decide on how you're going to do it, but this is what we want you to do. And she didn't want that. People often disagree with me on this, but she actually said that she did not want to cave into being the singing, dancing type of idol that Hololive was going, that direction was going, because she could not be herself and be that type of idol that they wanted her to be. So that's it was a perfect time for her to get out. She was at the top of her popularity. She realized that she would be able to carry a significant amount of her fan base over to her other persona, and she's still doing extremely well. I mean, her and Rushia. Yeah, bear in mind, her and Rushia, both of them were bringing in upwards of $1 million a year on super chats alone. They were making Cover Core millions just by being there and streaming. And that doesn't include things like merchandise or sponsorships or any of those other things. The culture tea, yes, exactly. And I have asked this question over and over and over again. The only time Ame sings is when she's required to sing, like when they're doing like their festivals, or if they're doing a production for somebody's birthday, things like that. Otherwise, she does not sing. She's not the singing, dancing idol like the rest of them. In fact, she was the only person in Hololive Myth that had not released a song, officially released a song, after Ina released her single, original singles on her channel. And she had been there for like two and a half years and had not done a single song. And I kept asking that question. I'm like, how is it that you have people like her that and I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm not saying that that she's being treated as a special case, or being treated better than other people. But at the same time, you kind of ask those questions. I mean, they hired Mikeneko knowing that she was a cover artist, okay? And other than, I think she did 2 or 3 songs through the entirety of her being there at Hololive. And that was it. They had not utilized her as the singer that she was, that when she came in there. And she had done a lot of cover songs to before coming into Hololive, which is why they hired her. But the other side of the coin was that Russia was bringing in so much attention and positive interaction with fans, and then also bringing in so much profit of her just streaming whatever, that they did not require her to do anything beyond when they would do a group singing activity or a group song, or things like that. With Ame, now we also have to realize that Ame has done a significant amount of work, charity work that Covercore had allowed her to do, which was which brought in attention from American entities in America and the United States, whereas Covercore that does not have any kind of significant footprint other than the fact that Hololive exists, and they've been able to get a couple of things going finally, but their footprint was at the time was extremely small. So having them do this charity work, and having these charities share out the fact, hey, we have this thing called a VTuber that is going to be doing a charity stream, like for the Humane Society or whatever, and they have hundreds, if not thousands, of contacts, PR contacts that are feeding directly into them. So when they send out that message, those PR people are they're essentially getting free advertising from that. So I think that was mostly the reason why they haven't really forced Ame to do more than what she has currently done. Mel, okay, look, Mel was held back a lot. Mel was extremely held back. And it's really kind of sad, because if you look at the first couple of years that she was with Hololive, she had these, the controversies, the stalking incident, the death threat incident, and a couple other things the first couple of years. So she had only released like 2 songs total for Covercore in those first 2 to 3 years. And then after Russia got terminated, Covercore turned to her and said, okay, we want to really push you, because they were hoping that she could fill the void of, the whole real girlfriend experience that Russia had left. And they already looked at her and said, okay, you do ASMR, you have a very tight-knit community, we really wanted to try to push you this year. And so she released original songs, she did several covers. I mean, she released more in the last 8 months that she was with Covercore than what she had released the first 3 years, 2 to 3 years with Covercore. And it was kind of at the expense of Russia leaving, but at the same time, it wasn't her decision, and she wasn't trying to walk over her to get to that point. She was just, Mel put in the hard work to get to where she was. And I and that's why I always supported her, because I knew how much of a hard worker she was. Just like Mikeneko, they're both, they both had to leave in unfortunate circumstances, but hopefully, especially Mel. If you look at Mel, she is keeping a tight a tight leash and control over what her persona and how she is steering things for herself going forward. And if you guys even notice the difference between Mel and Rushia, when Rushia got canned and and she fell back to being Mikeneko, that was within days. I mean, she hadn't even officially been terminated yet, and she had already fallen back into the other persona, and she was out there constantly arguing and talking about things. And when you look at Mel, when she got terminated, she went dark on her Rika persona for several days, and then she released a statement saying, I'm leaving for a month to clear my head and to work the rest of this stuff out. I'm not leaving. I will be back. And we will see and talk to each other again. But you have to give me my space to handle everything that was happening to her behind the scenes, and for her to figure out what she wanted to do, and probably deal with the abundant amount of emotions that she felt, because she put her heart and soul into her performance, and doing voice acting work, doing singing work with working with tutors, working with people people who are instructors. I mean, she spent hours for every performance that she did live, especially if there were dancing, choreography involved, and everything else. She worked for hours on those things, to the point where her feet were just completely calloused at one point, because she kept doing the same routines over and over and over again, thinking it's not good enough. So I believe that both of these girls are going in the right direction. And I'll remind you, Coco has a song. Coco does have a song, but she did not want it to be an idol. And plain and simple, she stated that plain and simple. I don't want to be an idol. I'm not an idol. I don't I'm not someone that that you're supposed to look up to. I'm somebody who's here for you when you want me to be here for you. It was kind of like when she did the whole Yakuza animation. She even stated, in that whole remember that animation? It's a perfect analogy for what she went through, and what Mikeneko is going through, and what Rika is going through. She realizes, I started off by myself, and as time went on, I met people, and those people wanted to spend time with me. And so she really, did as much as she could in the time that she had with them, to have as many memories and to have as much fun and success as they possibly could. When bad things happened, she was there to reassure them or take their mind off it. And when bad things happened to her, she realized the people that want to be with her are going to be there for her to lift her up. But then she also realized, and this is the thing that I have a hard time with, she realized that at some point, though, everyone's path diverges from each other, and there are very few people who actually see you through from one point to another over the long term. but that doesn't mean that it's, the journey wasn't worth it. That doesn't mean that, all the effort you put into it isn't worth it. And, Mikeneko is starting to realize that. And she, and the entirety of her stream, as she went on and talked about her, this project she's working on, that was the main theme that she was talking about. That, she realizes, she says, I've had a lot of people, and this is another quote from what she said on the stream. I have a lot of people, I have a lot of support from people around me, and it's extremely humbling. Please don't protest or do things that will harm them, just for supporting me. Today I'm going to try my best. Tomorrow I'm going to try my best. For all the things that are important to me, I'm going to keep trying. So don't be. She's basically asking, don't be that type of person that is, so vindictive against her that you go out and you're looking to hurt the people who are showing support towards her. She even made the comment that she was, the point that she was trying to make was, she's not trying to expose anybody. She knows people are going to talk about her, and that, if that's what what they're going to do, that's what they're going to do. She can't change that. But she is, she's not doing things to try to make other people's life miserable, and she thinks that it's not right for them to come out and do the same thing for her. And she's asking the people that that were present or in attendance, I'm trying my best, will you continue to support me? I can't do this without support. And if it's worth it, then she wants to be able to do it for herself and everyone that comes to support her. She read a bunch of super chats that were of people who were talking about that they were thinking about ending things when they found her, and now they want to be that type of person that they felt they never had. And one person, I'm just trying to read what it says here. One person sent a super chat that to hang in there, keep looking forward even in this situation. Don't feel like an idiot. That there are some people that think that you're going to give up, and that's why they're making you go through this. But we want you to try your best, just like you're asking us to try our best, which I think is very, commendable that she, she's able to invoke that kind of thing, that kind of feeling with people. So let's see here. I'm just trying to get down to. So I'm just trying to get down to what the comments that she was making about her song project. She realizes that she's done a lot of recording of songs and covers and stuff like that, and she's done a lot of her time with Hololive. It is about the extent that she of experience that she's had with performing in a live event or concert or anything like that. She naturally, some people will say, well, she's done karaoke with a lot of times, and what, that counts for something, which it does count for something, but it's different when you're singing at a camera and microphone versus when you are standing in front of people, or people have come to watch you. And she said that she is not she's not comfortable with it. It makes her nervous. But it's something that she wants to do. She wants to plan and hold live events. She wants to actively develop merchandise, and she wants to have fun with everyone. She'd like to be able to do a concert where you can bring your children. She feels like if she's able to get to that point, she'll be comfortable doing handshake sessions with people who purchase the opportunity to, which I can understand, pay gate and that, so you don't have aunties and haters show up and do something embarrassing against her. But let's see what else. She stated that as we already know, that she really loves singing, and she really misses doing karaoke with everybody. See here. She stated that this is her artist project, and it's being done with people who support her, the people around her. The people that are around her for the project are people that she trusts. So she's hoping that she'll be able to see it through. She went back. She goes back to addressing the aunties a lot. Somebody asked her the question, what? Okay, so she said, I also think there are people who don't think of me as a person when they do their anti-acts or activities, and she feels that it's wrong for people to come out and act that way. She went on to say, I still can't understand how somebody could live like that, and if you don't like me, that's fine. She wants people that are present to feel welcomed, and if you don't want to be here or cheer me on, please leave. And she's tired of having to constantly apologize because of them, and she doesn't know what else she could do to make them happy. Yeah, and I can't understand how people would act that way either. I mean, it's really a reflection that they aren't a decent human being, or that they have a void in their life, and they feel like the only way they can fill that void is to harass another person. And she even asked. It goes on to ask. She's like, she said that's another thing. See, her comment here says, So she starts commenting without actually mentioning his name. But she said recently there have been so many incidents where he, quote unquote, he comes out and says something, and I have to come out and apologize because of the same mistake that I made in the past. There are things that I have done that are wrong, and as she said, there are things that I've done that didn't work out, and all I can do is apologize. But he, quote unquote, he does not apologize for anything he's putting other people through. Other people being us. He doesn't reflect on anything. He's not sorry about the things that he has done in his life. She says, I've made many mistakes, so many mistakes, and I have come out and had to apologize for them because in the end, they were not good for anyone. And I have lost so many things in my life. At times I don't know what I want to do. But she turns it around and she says, isn't that different than, feeling miserable and then making other people's lives miserable? And then she asks the question, how can you be so inhumane to other people? She then asks the question, do people ever say that the Mikeneko family feel abandoned, and that or that I'm not remorseful? I'm not okay with that because I'm not you, meaning that the auntie. I just want to live in peace with the Mikeneko family. So yeah, some of the other things that she addressed here, she stated that she wants to do this properly. People have been attacking her because she saying that she stirs up drama when she wants more money. She's not trying to force anybody to buy or spend anything. She just puts it out there and advertises it because it's out there for people who want to buy it. Everybody is equal. I'm not trying to take advantage of them. She talks a little bit about the current merchandise that she has up on booth. And that's about the extent of where things are right now. She spends a lot of time trying to talk out and explain, and even at times being very, very remorseful about everything that us fans have to have been going through. And she's essentially saying, look, I am doing what I can with the amount of control that I have. I mean her. I'm speaking and from her perspective. She is basically constantly reinforcing the fact that that she is doing everything that she can to shield us from having to go through everything that she's going through personally, because she doesn't want that to be a part of what she has with her fans. I think that that's a very good concept that people are not paying attention to. That there are people out there that when they have controversy, they capitalize on controversy. We've talked about a couple of those people on my channel, and then we there are also there's also the fact that she's trying to be an entertainer and entertain the people who come to watch her, whether it be because they want to come and listen to her, or they want to come and interact with her, or they're just coming to see what she's doing. And she realizes that there is a line there that she's trying to protect when it comes to people like Mafu and the antis and the haters coming in and trying to stir up controversy, or they're making public statements and comments that cause controversy because she's involved in it. And honestly, I believe that the explanation of her telling us that, yes, I had to come out and say that I was married and I'm now divorced from that person. I actually think that the fact that she tried to shield us from all the controversy and all of the shenanigans that are happening behind the scenes, she was actually trying to protect the people that were there to support her, and not sit there and like people are sensationalizing. People are like, but she tried to hide it from us, quote unquote, hide it. And it's like, well, if you have something that's so terrible and embarrassing happen to you, would you openly just come out one day and say, oh yeah, and by the way, I got married, but now I'm divorced, and that person doesn't want to get along with me, so he's going to be saying a lot of stuff that isn't true? I mean, would you really want to drag that out in public? And have that as your talking point when you're trying to, just have a peaceful, fun time with people who are there to, play games with you or listen to you sing or talk? I mean, it makes for great content for people who want to talk about it. But I mean, people like me, I talk about it because I'm one of the few voices out there that actually talk real about these incidents, as opposed to other people who they say just enough to make it sound worse than what it is, but they don't tell the whole and complete story or the complete truth on what is happening with that person. They all they want is to be able to make it just enough clickbaity to hook you into listening to them, and then make you go, oh wow, that is terrible, that person's a terrible person, and then they keep coming back to that person because they keep saying just enough to to stir the controversy and their cup of coffee, that but when you take the entire pot, it's pretty black. I'm sorry, it's pretty plain and black. When you have your coffee that's plain and black and without cream or sugar, that coffee is just it's coffee. It's not anything else. It's coffee. So she has an NDA also, the right to hide her personal life. Of course, she couldn't even talk. Yeah, she couldn't even talk about that information if she wanted to. She had, when you're signing with these companies, that you have certain contracts, and legal obligations where you can't say certain things on the internet. You can't say certain things when you're talking as a representative of that person. but then you have you have certain lawyers come out and say, well, yeah, but she should have had the right to, and it's like, why? She has every people have every right to talk about what is happening to them, from a private person's perspective, but the moment that you're representing a company, you're being a representative of said company, so you have to talk and act a certain way. And she has every right to protect herself and her brand and her life, most of all her life, and her livelihood. No one is compelled to even tell the truth, to be honest, and that's why antis and haters are able to get away with what they're doing. And unless you can find a lawyer or a judge that's liberal enough to say, hey, yeah, that person spends 6 weeks of his life trashing you, and half of this stuff isn't true, yeah, that's libel. Yeah, you can take him, that person's guilty. Not to mention who those certain lawyers are, but still, it begs the question, doesn't that person have a right to privacy? And they do. They definitely do. Just like the companies they represent have the right to be, to protect themselves with the from the private lives of the people that work for them, but then also being dragged into said private life when something like this happens. So I'm just kind of scrolling through. I mean, I've been talking for how long now? Yeah, I've been talking for a good 2 hours, and we're only about 40 minutes into her video. So, but and I don't want you to think that we still have another 2 hours worth of stuff to cover, because she spent about the first 40 minutes to an hour talking about the various things that she's doing, including the project that she's working on here with basically her re-debut, or her now solo project here, her song project. And then she spent a lot of time trying to address everything that she has been going through with people who are bullying her online, people who are now literally sending her death threats. Person emailed her a bomb threat, which is really, I think that's pathetic. But yeah, and she spent a lot of time trying to reinforce to the people that continue to support her, that she wants to get through this, and she wants to see this through. Let's see here. Those are the basic highlights of the situation. She's spent a lot of time also trying to address people that are concerned that when she's done streaming, that she'll contemplate ending her life again, and she talks a lot about that, and trying to reassure people that she's not going to try that or do that again. She mentioned that she has gone to seek professional help. She has been seen by doctors and the hospital. She has she mentions that the what she was diagnosed with, she has to check in to the hospital 11 times before they consider her to be not, not a threat because of the fact that she tried to commit or end her life, that she has to check in with the doctors that are treating her with medication and counseling. So she says, I have to go to the hospital 11 times before they say that I got better, got better, or that I'm better. What I have is not easily treated. In general, so it's very hard with the vernacular because bipolar disorder or manic depression, is said and communicated differently in Japan. But she says, in general, manic depression, which is what she is diagnosed with, cannot be cured, which is correct. With manic depression, you can only treat it with counseling and with medication to help you through your manic phases and then your depressive phases. But basically, she said, now that she had made that attempt on her life, that she has to check into the doctor 11 times before they consider her to be better in a better place. And she hasn't mentioned what medication she's on, so it's kind of hard to judge on that. But if she goes in and ends up having to do lab work every time when she goes in, typically that means that they're treating her with a medication that has to reach a therapeutic level in her bloodstream before they can really judge whether or not it's helping her or not. So that could also be another reason why she has to check in with the hospital so many times. She starts talking about her some of what she is what she experiences. I did not realize she did a poll on her channel. I didn't see that. Her medication might also be also for lifetime too. It's not easily treated, but it's so basically what there are two major fields of. The only reason why I know this is because I happen to know I live in a small community. There's about like 75,000, so in the community I live in. So I consider that small because I came from a big city that has over almost 2 million, including the metro area. But there are two major families of medication that are typically used to treat manic depression, and even like what I go through with PTSD and they call what I have it's an umbrella term. They call it major depressive disorder. But I mean, it's a big umbrella diagnosis. Anyways, there are two major families that they treat people with for these kind of things, especially when it comes to depression. And one of those families, you have to monitor the person's therapeutic level in their blood. Because if it gets too high, it could, the medication could literally send you into a manic state where you just can't stop yourself. It would be like shooting someone up with like heroin, and then and then letting them loose and they go all berserk. Or it could plummet the levels in your system, and you could literally never get out of bed because you feel so depressed. The other type of medication that they're currently using, and that it's the new current trend that people use to treat depression like this, it treats a whole separate section and a separate type of factors in your brain, and most of it includes treating or the release of dopamine in a person's bloodstream, which is that that chemical that makes you feel euphoric, right? So there's two different ways that it could be treated. But with her, she goes through a manic cycle and then a depressive cycle, and she tries to talk a little bit about this in the stream, and it's very hard because she says that when you get to a certain point, you can't stop yourself, and then when you get to the other side, you feel like you don't want to do anything. So it's very hard for them to treat it. Let's see here. So I'm just trying to scan through the rest of the transcript, because she starts being like me, where she gets off on a different topic and then she spends an exorbitant amount of time on that topic before she goes back and talks about her what she wants to talk about. I think that is about it. I don't see anything else in the transcript that really jumps out. But what I'll do is I will go ahead and I'll do another walkthrough of the transcript to see if there's anything important that I may have missed. And if I do miss it, oh my. Somebody came flat out and asked her if she cheated on Mafu when they were married, and she turned around and says, yeah, I've never cheated on anybody, and I have never committed domestic violence. I've never had an affair. So let me correct that little part. I have made mistakes in my life, but I have never been unfaithful. I want to live a regular, or I want to live a normal life. I want to live normally. And I want to live with everybody in peace. I don't get why people keep on trying to bring up these things that have been talked to death about, when they, I mean, you're not going to get a different answer from them unless they're, thinking that there's more that she hasn't talked about, or more that she hasn't stated, or that Mafu hasn't, tried to coerce her with. Yeah, she comes out and says, and this is something that she has said in response to people asking her why about the poll that she did during her stream. I know that people have different opinions. I've been trying to listen to everyone's opinion, so I don't end up with a minority like what happened a couple of years ago, I have begun to think I should listen to everyone's opinion so that you don't have. She mentions a 20 percentile, and I think that was the result of, people voted, I think, like 80 to 20, and she doesn't want the people who voted the other way to feel like she's not listening to them. Well, did someone really say that? It's really been discussed, and they just want to make up more drama. Yeah. Somebody did ask her that, and I mean, if there's some people, yeah, she even responds to it after saying that. She even responds to that. If you don't, I can't talk. If people don't want to believe me, it can't be helped. But one mistake is always a mistake, and someone else makes a mistake. They make a mistake, and that happens, right? It's mutual. Mistakes are like that. Everyone is doing the best that they can. I don't think it's right to be overly. That word can mean a couple of things, but I think what she was trying to say is she doesn't think it's right for people to be overly obsessed about it. If you still want to be an anti about it, it's not good. Let's get along. I really want people to listen and accept the past too. Yeah, I just don't want her to start thinking she has to please everybody, because then that's how she that's why her health deteriorated so badly before, is because she always felt like she had to please everybody. I mean, I get that you're trying to make it so everyone will feel comfortable with where she's at, but at the same time, you can't please everybody. You either have to, you either accept what she's saying and doing, or you don't. I mean, some people are going to be left behind. I mean, look at my situation even. If we look at May 2024, I'm only subscribed, or I'm not subscribed. I only have memberships to 2 people in Hall Life. If we go back, even 4 years, 3 to 4 years, if you have asked me at the same time 3 to 4 years ago, I would tell you I have over 10 memberships to people in Hall Life. But that's kind of how it goes. People, you're gonna fall out of favor with some people. They may come back, they may not. If they know that you create a comforting environment, they'll feel they'll feel comfortable coming back. But if they don't, that you can't please them, or spend so much time trying to please them if they're not going to feel satisfied and they want to leave in the first place, or they don't like what you're doing. I mean, that's why I sit there and I watch a lot of English speaking VTubers, and I give them a chance. I'll tolerate some of the quirks that they may have that I don't like, but if they can't provide me with what I want, as far as being a fan or just being a supporter, I'm not going to come out and start trashing them and saying, bad things about them, hoping that they'll listen to me and change to fit my way. That's just not how it should go. So the rest of this here, she spends a lot of time thanking people that have sent super chats, responding to them. Okay. But other than that, man, I seriously wonder if part of the bad thing about the technology I'm using is that it feeds the live conversation into a program that then spits out the Japanese vernacular of what they're saying, but it can't really determine with 100% accuracy what they were trying to say. But I mean, you can infer most of it when it messes up by what the rest of the sentence says. But yeah, she spends a lot of time just trying to reassure people and address everything that has happened with like the aunties and the people criticizing her and the people that are doing big exposés of what has transpired over the last couple of years for her. And a lot of them only pull from one or two sources, and those sources typically are people who spin the content that they're sharing so it can be sensationalized. So and we've gone through the same evidence that they have gone through, and the conclusions that we pull here are very different than the conclusions that they make up, because we go through the evidence and we actually we've timelined all the evidence on my channel before, and the conclusion that that can be made is just completely different than what they talk about. So with that in mind, I have linked her project in the description of this stream. So if you haven't checked it out and you want to, you can certainly click on that. I'm sure she's going to release and talk more about the her project as it develops. We'll of course always keep an eye on things here as well. And if there's anything noteworthy we're streaming about, we'll definitely do that. Otherwise, I've gotten pretty accustomed to updating people with small little news updates or things that caught my eye when I'm searching through what's happening for the day. And I always put those little things in my community tab. Some people like it, some people don't even know it exists. That's fine. But that covers practically everything that at least that I have for right now. So I am going to go ahead and go get lunch now that I've luckily what she talked about was not yet another dramatic incident that has happened in her life. Yeah, losing Pony Canyon and that in her debut is not nothing. It's not nothing, and it's not and it is it is worth discussing, but it's not, a topic that needs, thorough exploration and debate, like, some of the other stuff that she's gone through. So hopefully she's able to keep things on the straight and narrow so she can try to relax for the rest of the year or at least not worry about some of these other things that keep happening behind the scenes. We'll keep an eye on her, just like we always do. Just like we keep an eye on all the other stuff as well. So if anything does happen, we will definitely talk about it here. My community section is always open for people who want to, have their own opinion and share it. As long as it's not inflammatory or rude or crude or even demeaning about her or any topic I put up there, you're more than welcome to comment on it. But yeah, so with that in mind, we will try to look at the rest of this week. There are a couple of games I do want to play. There are games that I can play and we can talk casually. There are also a couple games I'm looking at that have recently come out or I have access to that I do want to try as well. So we'll stream some of that and then we'll and we can talk and everything else. But if other topics of interest do come up that are stream worthy, I'll definitely make a chat about it or make a stream about it. Otherwise, we'll just keep tabs on what's happening with everyone and hopefully things improve finally. I guess I want Marko to play Bunny Garden. I have actually thought about it. I have looked at it and I'm like, yeah, I could get into this. Yeah, I think the only thing I don't like is the fact that I have to do so much reading, and I don't read particularly well in public. I do a lot better if I just have like cliff notes and then I can talk from what I brainstorm in my mind. But yeah, I mean, there are several visual novels I have thought about streaming as well. The only thing that stops me from it is the fact that I have to do so much reading. Just the amount of reading I have done right now, so I could talk about this subject here. I can already feel my throat getting dry and worn out. So that's kind of like, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe I will play the bunny game here on the channel. We'll just have to think about it. I haven't even looked to see what kind of trophies that you can earn on Steam, because someone sent me that bunny what was it, Honey Pop game from years ago, and at the time I didn't realize my trophies were public. And I had several people going, why are you playing that game? And I was like, I didn't buy it. Somebody sent it to me as a gift. And I was like, okay, what is this? Okay, a little friendly game like still. Oh man, I did not. So with Stellar Blade, and I'll talk about this before I finish. With Stellar Blade, I did not. Since I don't have a PS5, it wasn't even on my radar. But I know a lot of people were like really pumped for it, right? And I could understand that because just like Ghost of Tsushima, that was exclusive as well, and I was like, so I can understand being pumped up for a exclusive game, but it wasn't on my radar because I don't have a PS5 and I'm not gonna spend the money to buy one. but yeah, I was looking up something for Honkai Star Rail, and I saw that the headline, PlayStation Store is offering refunds for people who feel that the game was misadvertised, or it was not, the product wasn't as as it was sold, that kind of thing. And I'm like, was the game really that bad? I mean, what is going on? I thought maybe it was like a No Man's Sky type of incident or something like that. But then once I started reading into it, and they're like, yeah, that's false advertising. You guys sold us a game that is censored, and I'm like, okay, this is a thing. I mean, like, I just, if someone gives you a game, you need to at least try it. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what it was. I was just like, okay, so this is kind of like Candy Crush or something. Okay, well, we'll try it out. I thought it was just a regular dating simulator or something like that, but then no, it wasn't. It was more than a dating simulator. It's like, there's like this free to play game that is on well, it's on Steam, and it's on a few other places, that was developed in collaboration with Team Ninja, right? And I was looking for something just to kind of like play when I'm in the waiting room, and so I downloaded the game, and I'm sitting there and I'm playing it in the waiting room, and I'm like, okay, I see why they hired Team Ninja for this, because the bounce physics was just unreal. And I was like, yeah, they definitely got that bounce physics figured out. And the camera angles, kind of just lingered on certain places just a little longer than it probably should have. But I mean, I guess if you saw, if you bought the game with that intention and you didn't get it, I guess you have an argument. But I try not to buy games solely for that kind of content, But yeah, I mean, I told a friend recently, because he was all hyped for Final Fantasy 16. He was hyped for this game as well, and I told him, I was like, well, if you're on Discord, why don't you share it out, and I'll watch you play or something like that. And he's like, you don't have a PS5 still? I'm like, no, I don't have a reason to, So, I guess if I was a PS5 owner and I didn't get like the game that I thought I was going to get, I guess I'd be a little upset too. But I wouldn't spend that amount of money on a PS5 just to watch somebody bounce up and down, or specific camera shots, that shows certain body parts or whatever. It's like, okay. So anyways, all right, guys, so that covers everything for today. So again, we'll keep an eye on things. If other things develop along the way, we'll certainly talk about it. If it's something minor, I usually post it on X or in my community tab. If it's something major, I will I do try to go live, like always. But if hopefully everything's kind of just calms down for her, but we'll see. Otherwise, please keep an eye out on the community tab and on X for my next stream. Whatever game I decide to pick out, I'm probably going to pick out something casual so I can sit back and chat with people. But we'll see. I don't necessarily have the time to play games either. I mean, I had to give up Final Fantasy 14 because I mean, just the sheer amount of grind that you had to do in that game just became unbelievably tedious. And yeah, there's new content that's coming out, you know, a new expansion that's coming out, but I just don't have the time to play it anymore. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, guys. CJC, thank you for being here. The Cool 2T, thank you also for dropping in. I know we've had several other people come and go. You know, lurkers, again, you guys are always welcome here, whether or not you engage in the chat. It doesn't bother me, but I do appreciate you guys being here as well. So have a good morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever the case may be. Be kind to each other. You know, I know I don't really need to remind my audience about that, but I mean, it never hurts to pay it forward. It really doesn't. You know, I was at the grocery store yesterday and I saw an old lady that was putting groceries into her car, and she had bought like 6 1-gallon containers of bottled water, and you know, whoever put the stuff on her cart, you know, they put all those on the very bottom. And I was like, you know, if I were her, I would have asked that guy to bring out my cart and help me put it in the car. But you know, I mean, I stopped and asked her. I said, "Yeah, would you mind if I help you?" And she looked at me like stunned, like, "You're asking to help me? Really? I appreciate it." And she said, "I appreciate that." You know, and I said, "Well, you know, I don't think it's right for to make you, you know, bend over and lift up that amount of weight." And she goes, "Yeah, that would have been hard for me." You know, because she was walking with a cane, for crying out loud. And I will at least offer to help her out and, you know, walk her to her car. But she was very grateful for it. You know, I didn't have any obligation to do it, but I did because it was the right thing to do. You know, so yeah, pay it forward, guys. You know, and be kind to each other. Let's try to, you know, have fun. So anyways, yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. You guys take care of yourselves. Have a good morning or afternoon or evening, whatever the case may be. This is Marko Yamashita signing off. Peace.